Welcome everyone. My name is Gigi. I'm from Diamonds in the Rough TV, and I'm here today with Siraaj Woods, and we are collabing to talk about his brand, SWC. He's doing some amazing things in the social media marketing space. He's also very involved in community initiatives, and he is representing for the culture, just representing a man of excellence. So I'm so happy to be here today with you, Siraaj. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this interview with you.
Yes, I'm excited.
Awesome. So I want to go ahead and get this episode started by having you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and give us a little bit of background about your upbringing.
As she said, my name is Siraaj Woods. I currently run SWC. We're a social media marketing agency that we specialize in helping small Black-owned businesses achieve excellence online through social media marketing initiatives in order to get you in front of more customers and more of your target audience. Awesome. And I hail from Cleveland, Ohio originally. I moved out here last June, and so I've only been here for about 8 months, but that is a little bit on my background, how I got here.
Wow. So I want to ask you, what brought you to the DMV?
So I knew after I graduated from college that I wanted to get out of Ohio. I'm an Ohio kid, born and raised, been there my entire life, and I knew at a certain point that I was going to have to leave in order to really start to achieve my dreams and my goals. So
That's right.
I really went out on a limb. I came out here. I didn't really have anything going on yet, but I took a visit here this time last year, actually. I went to Washington, D.C. I took a trip out here, and I really fell in love with the city and the area and the East Coast atmosphere and the hustle and bustle, the blue-collar worker.
Wow.
And it brought me out here. I came out here on nothing, and then I ended up having to build something out of nothing.
That's amazing. I always admire people who are able to move from out of their comfort zone and where they're from and just go somewhere where they may not know anybody, but they know that it's the next step in their career. And that's something that I feel like, a lot of us have to do is step outside of our comfort zone and eventually get out of our hometown, because a lot of the opportunities are not where we grew up, from. But I do want to ask you, what was your upbringing like, and what are some significant moments that brought you to this point?
My upbringing, so I'm an only child. So being an only child, I didn't really have any siblings or anybody to kind of really interact with on a normal everyday basis. I obviously had my cousins and my family and some of my really close friends, but for the most part, I was by myself, so I became really insulated. I was really shy, didn't really talk to people in grade school, and I was pretty socially awkward.
Wow.
And that was something that I struggled with early on, and then that's something I had to really develop and grow out of my shell. Once I graduated, went to college, I was a completely different environment, different city. I had to start over. And once I got down there, that's something that I really had to build myself up on. I had to do a lot of internal reflecting on why certain things had happened and how I could continue to improve them and build myself up. And that's what I ended up doing.
Wow, that takes strength, honestly. People have no idea what it's like to really push yourself outside of your comfort zone and do things that maybe you haven't seen before, or maybe people right around you, they've never done. Like, you're the first one, breaking the generational, gap, and I think that's so admirable. So tell us about, what school you went to for college and what was life like in college?
So I went to Ohio University. Shout out to the Bobcats in Athens,
Okay.
Ohio. Ohio University is known for being a party school in the middle of nowhere, so we're really a turn-up school, a lot of drinking culture. So when I got there the first 2 years, it was a lot of that. It was a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, and my grades reflected that. I was actually on academic probation. My sophomore year, the first semester, I came back, I had a 1.9 GPA.
Wow.
And because I was doing a lot of the stuff that you're not supposed to do.
Right.
And I ended up having to come back from that, ended up having to retake some classes, really focus on what was important, which was the school and the graduating and the getting connected with people that would be successful in the real world. And because I was able to turn that around, I ended up graduating with a 3.6.
Wow.
A 3.36.
Okay. Awesome. I love that you brought that up, because I had a similar experience, and I feel like a lot of college students do. Like, when they first get that taste of freedom, that first year is a mess, okay? Like, I feel like my first year, I was so not focused, and I wasn't living up to my potential. But I love how you said you were able to turn it around after that first, second year. Because it's like, you're starting to warm up, figure out who you are, what you like, and it's easy to get, distracted.
Yeah.
So what did you do to get back on point with, your dreams and eventually start a business? Because you started your business in college, right?
Yes, I did.
You were a junior, I'm assuming?
I was a So I did 4.5 years. I started it during my 4th year.
Yeah, similar. I did 4.5 years too. Okay, we have a very similar story, clearly. But I want you to talk to us about some of the obstacles outside of just the party life that you were able to overcome in college, because obviously you were able to create a successful brand.
Yes. Well, after I came back from having the 1.9 GPA, also I lost my scholarship too. That's another thing that I didn't mention. So having to come back from that, I was on the verge of really being out of school. And at that time, this was when I just graduated. I really didn't know what I was going to do yet. I kind of had gone to college because I needed a little bit of extra time to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I wasn't all the way prepared after high school to enter the regular workforce.
Yep.
So I knew I had to turn my grades around. I really had to start focusing on what was important. That was schoolwork, that was class, that was the academics. And I was able to do that because I would learn from my mistakes from the first semester. I didn't go out as much. I studied more, and I focused on what was really important, which was making sure that my grades were okay so I can continue to be on this path. Because as you saw, there were so many people after freshman year, they didn't come back, and you never heard from them.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't want to be one of those people.
Wow. That's awesome. Very awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what is your definition of success, and what are some key moments that you experienced in college that made you feel like, okay, I'm moving in the right direction, I'm feeling accomplished, this is what I want to do?
Yes. So I think the first moment that I really felt like I was doing something was when I crossed in my fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi, shout out to the noobs, shout out to the love chapter. But I crossed Kappa in spring of 2019. That was my sophomore year, the second semester. And at that time, that was probably the biggest accomplishment that I had. We had a really large show, and there was a lot of people that came out. And that really changed my perception of myself and my social image. And the people around me, they started to treat me a little bit different because they said that, he's doing something a little different. I was one of the first people in my friend group at that time, and we were all sophomores. I was one of the first people to cross. And, you know, when you cross, you get a little bit of extra kind of status, and you get a little bit more authority because now you're the one throwing the events, you're the one that's helping and supporting the community initiatives. So that was my first major achievement, I would say then. And from there, I started to build on that. I went from that, and then I started off making our social media content. That was my role on the chapter at first when I first crossed, was to make our social media content, make our logos and flyers, and make our events look really appealing. So that's where SWC originated from, was from that. And then eventually I was able to move up from that, and I became the president of that organization. And then I became the face of it. And that was the first time I had been the face of an organization. So it gave me a lot of experience in the skills, the actual skills that you need to be successful, and then the confidence and the competence to run an organization that has not only members that are in your school that are around your age group, but also had to interact with the alumni association too, the people that already had graduated. And these guys are, you know, some of these guys are executives, they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're CEOs of their companies. So these are some really major guys. And I had to, as a 21, 22-year-old, tell these guys, you know, hey, we don't really have a lot of money. You know, we need you guys to donate, and then, you know, spending that money and getting it back. So there was a lot of things that I learned that ended up being beneficial now, like even learning how to talk to them, interact and connect with people that are older. Then those connections that ended up helping me get to the point where I'm at now. So I'm very grateful for that.
So I want you to share with us just some tips that you would give other young men who are thinking about starting a business in college, because it sounds like to me you were able to pivot into different community initiatives that helped you to get out there and learn what your peers needed. So what is some advice that you would give others who are interested in starting a business?
For people that are interested in starting a business, I would say first and foremost, you have to find something that you're passionate about, I think. And I understand that that could be a waning thing to think about or base something off of. But if you don't enjoy it and you have to wake up every day and doing it, it's going to be like having a regular job. You're not going to enjoy it. It's just going to be straight work and work and work. And it is straight work. And it's not, you know, I know people can make it look flashy. You're always traveling and you got a lot of money and you're always buying the newest thing. You're always doing stuff. But no, it's really a hustle. It's really, you know, many long hours sitting at that desk by yourself, and you're supposed to be in bed. Everybody else is out partying, and I spent a lot of time doing that. After I gave up mostly, you know, going out and partying and celebrating, I was in my room a lot working on my business. My friends would come to my door. They'd be like, "Hey, we're about to go to the bar. We're about to go get a drink." And I'm like, "No, I got to focus on this." Wow. Like, "No, you're so lame. You don't even go out anymore." So find something that you're passionate about that's going to keep you focused when your distractions are going to come. And also, you need to find something that you're actually good at. And if you have a skill set, you can leverage that and monetize that and turn that into a business. So for me, my skill set was creating digital content. So because I had developed my skill set in creating digital content to the point where people were willing to exchange that value for currency, and once they started to do that, I was able to build systems and a brand, and I was able to leverage that to the point where now the business can more so sustain itself rather than me having to do every individual aspect of the business.
Right.
So the major things I would say if you were looking to start a business are to find something that you're passionate about, and then also learn to monetize a skill that you have so that you can get better and better and better at that skill, and then you can start to leverage that and monetize that.
Yeah, I really like how you said it's about knowing your skill set. First, you want to be one with yourself. You want to know what you're actually good at. Just don't go out there on a limb and do something that everybody's doing because it looks cool. I have been there, done that, where I've started a business like drop shipping just because everybody's doing it. And it's like, this is not my thing. So you really need to know, what you're good at, what comes natural for you, and then build on that. And I like that you said also being able to discipline yourself to say, okay, you know what? I know I could be out here having fun. This is what everybody else is doing, but I have a vision for myself. And I just admire that because you were in your early 20s in college. Most young men could care less about discipline. That's not even where their focus is.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's just something that I think is really important if you want to get ahead of the game, having that discipline. And having the heart to say, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice temporary fun right now so I can make sure that I accomplish my goals. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. You're representing very well for young men. I just want to let you know that. You really are.
I appreciate it.
So I also saw that you are very involved in community initiatives. So I want you to talk about some of the other things that you've been recently involved in. I mean, I see you on LinkedIn like every other day, and you're doing another speaking engagement, and I'm just so impressed. So tell us, what you've been up to lately.
Well, I'd say the biggest thing that I've been up to recently in terms of community initiative. So I recently joined the Baltimore alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi out here. And then we just had an event called Kappa Vegas. It's probably the largest event that they have for the year. And it was at the Martin's West Hotel recently. And the goal of that event was really to generate money so that we could put more initiative into what we call Guy Right. And that is where we help young high school students in Baltimore, young men.
Wonderful.
We help them, get more programs and initiatives to help them stay off of the streets and become better men. And the goal of the event was to, raise money so that we could continue to do that. We have a center at the Kappa House that we actually just had a panel there recently where myself and a group of other entrepreneurs and professionals in business, we all got to sit on a panel and talk to the young men and give them advice. So that's something that I really am passionate about, is really giving back to the community.
Wow.
I think it's very important. Doesn't mean anything when you run up all the money in the world and all the status and the fame if you can't give it back and make the world better. And that's really what I'm the most passionate about, more than any monetary thing or any status symbol, is really giving back to the community.
That's huge. That is so huge. And I wish that more people who come across wealth or even success understood that principle, that it's not about keeping everything to yourself, but it's how you use what you've been given to give back, because that's how you continue to build. And that is how you allow our society to expand in a way. We all need each other in some way. So I love that you're using what you've been given to give back to young men. They need representatives like you. So I just love that you're doing that. So now I want to spin it just a little bit and talk more about your brand.
Okay.
So I want to know, what is your overall vision for SWC? And then how are you going about accomplishing that?
Yes. So the overall business is to give a platform to other Black businesses to allow them to continue to grow and scale and monetize and take advantage of the online system that we have. So social media and even online on websites, we feel that as we know, the world is going towards more digital, whether we like it or not, especially after the pandemic. Everybody has to have a social media if you want to be taken seriously on business. Yeah. You have to have a website if you want to be taken seriously on business. You have to have an online brand, because a lot of people, they're not going to your store, or a lot of businesses are run strictly online, similar to us. So our goal is really to give a platform to other Black businesses, Black-owned businesses, and allow them to take advantage of that opportunity, because there's so many target audience that they could be reaching, so many of their potential customers that they could be reaching if they were to be taking advantage of these opportunities. And at SWC, we want to help them take full advantage of that and leverage those monetary opportunities as much as possible. And whether that be for the monetary or just to get your brand or your association, your affiliation out there.
Awesome.
That's what we do.
That sounds wonderful. All right. So I want you to share with us what made you decide to do a rebrand, because you started off, in college, and then over time you built up your knowledge and expertise, and then you said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and rebrand. What led you to the rebrand?
Yeah, so the rebrand, we decided to do a rebrand because we wanted to find a way to give back as much value as possible, and we felt that by doing that and restructuring how exactly we provide our service, that we would be able to have a better chance of servicing our partners better. So we decided to take more of a social media approach to it, and really more so focus on that social media piece and helping clients get the content out there. So that was the primary reason behind that, because at first we were more so focused on, we were kind of doing a lot of everything. We were doing a lot of, like we're doing designs and graphic designs and that type of thing. So we decided to really more so focus on, hey, we can give all of this to you in a package, because at first we were doing a lot of individual things. So we want to give it to you in a package setting, so that way we can give you more value. We can give you everything rather than just give you one thing.
Right. That's a great technique, because I know that when you first start a business, it's like you are full of all these different ideas and you kind of want to do everything, because everything sounds good. So it's like, I can offer graphic design and I can offer marketing and I can be here and there. And it's like, you want to be good at everything, but you can't be. You can't actually focus in on the best value for your client if you are worried about doing everything you can't be everything. So I love that you said you found that main niche that you wanted to focus in on, and now you're an expert at what you do. So I love that.
Thank you.
So along with offering social media marketing services, I want you to tell us what makes you stand out from among anybody else, because you're up against some of the best of the best, and you are the best of the best. So I want you to talk to them about what makes you different.
Yes. I think what really makes us different is our focus on helping Black businesses and our understanding of Black businesses. We have a understanding of what exactly our people in our society, what we need, what we like to engage with, what makes us feel seen and heard and appreciated. So I feel that our specialization and knowledge on that is what really separates us from the crowd, because a lot of people, they might say that they support Black businesses, like the Black Lives Matter movement, but are they really supporting, or are they really just doing it for monetary reasons? But most of our clients are Black-owned businesses, so we have a great understanding of what exactly the type of content or the online presence that you need in order to generate interest among Black people. I think that's very important.
That is. I love the heart behind what you do, because, people can see if you're passionate about what you do and if you're genuine. It shows over time. Like, your true colors, I believe, will shine, and people will eventually see, your intentions. So I love that you talked about really having the heart for giving back, because that's really what our community needs. So I love that. So I want you to tell us a little bit about what we may be able to expect from you coming up with SWC, because right now I know that you are focused on social media marketing, but is there anything that you see that you may add as far as the services in the next maybe couple years, or
Yes, I think in the future we're going to also we also do websites as well. So I think that eventually in the future we might start going back to a focus of also offering the website services as well, because the way that we see it, the social media and the online page, they can be very synchronous. So because when people they click on your page, okay, great, I've seen, I like it. What's the website doing? Oh, the website doesn't have the domain, or the website's out of date. So really take advantage of the whole digital marketplace, making everything as cohesive as possible. So that way when they go on your LinkedIn, they can go to your website. When they go to your website, they can go to your Instagram.
That's very good.
And making all of that very cohesive.
And all of that ties into branding too, honestly, like setting up their brand and showing people how to connect with the different parts of their business. So I love that. Awesome. So I want you to talk to us about artificial intelligence, because as a marketer, when you work in social media, you are dabbling into using AI sometimes. So I want to know, how do you use AI in a way that helps to build your business?
Yes. Well, I think AI it can be very beneficial for business. I know that's something it can be new and daunting and very scary, and we don't know everything about it yet, but it can be very beneficial to business, because it allows you to create systems that are automated, so that way you don't have to spend all of your time maybe typing out this copy for your website or for a social media post. Rather, you can put it into a system, and then it develops a majority of the copy for you, and then you might go in and then make a few edits as well. And I think that especially for an agency, that a lot of agencies are going to need to start using some type of technology or some type of system, because otherwise you're going to fall behind, because these other agencies are doing that. These other companies are investing in their technology. True. That's how you get the $1 billion valuation, by having some sort of technology platform. When people come to you and they're asking, okay, I want to invest in your company, but what technology do you use? You don't have any that's going to drastically decrease the value of your company. So I think that's going to be very important in the future, to get with the times and start to adapt the AI technology, because there's a lot of great systems out there and they can really make your life much easier.
Yeah, and AI is not going anywhere. This is just the beginning. And a lot of people don't realize how often we use AI, It's like, it sounds like, what the heck is this, But honestly, with our phones and Siri and the different apps that we use, everything is tied into artificial intelligence. Every day, everyone is using artificial intelligence through their technology, and they don't even realize it. But if we could learn how to stay up to speed with the benefits that it offers, we could actually build something way bigger than we even imagine. And it's not so much about it taking over the work for us. It's about us kind of feeding in our ideas and then allowing it to enhance what we already have. Because I think a lot of people, myself included, used to feel like artificial intelligence was something that I just had to run from, because I'm like, the robots are going to take over and I'm scared and I don't want to be a part of it at all. But I realized that, there's a lot that you can do with it if you use the ideas that you already have and build on it.
Yes, I agree. And like you said, we've been using AI for years. Even people that play video games.
Yeah.
When you play against a computer, that's AI. When you're on your phone, it's Siri and AI. Exactly. When you go on Instagram, they have algorithms, but they also have artificial intelligence as well. And all these companies, all these technology companies, they all use AI. Everybody's been using AI for a minute, but now it's getting to the point where I think AI is going to be a lot more mainstream, and it can be accessible to your regular average day person, rather than something that's very ambiguous, or AI, it'll be here, but not during my lifetime. No, AI has been here, and it's only going to become more and more prevalent.
Wow, that's really good. So now I want to switch the focus to just encouraging someone who is working a 9-to-5 right now, but they're like, I have a business idea, I don't know how to do both. So you're someone who is able to successfully manage a full-time job with also running a business. Yes. How are you able to do that?
So I think the biggest thing for me and why I've been able to have success is because the job that I have is very similar to the business.
Okay.
So for my job, I run the social media, and I'm part of the social media team for this GI gut health organization, and we create content for them.
Awesome.
So I think the biggest thing is that my job and my business, they're very synchronous. They're very much in harmony.
Okay.
So when I do have to do work for my job, I'm not really taking away from my business, because I'm still working on developing the skills I would need to run my business. And then when I go back to my business, I'm doing the skills to perform well at my job. And I think that's really the biggest thing, because I've been in the situation, I know a lot of people that are like this. You might have a business where your business is making candles, and then you're going to work and you're working 12 hours a day at a factory lifting boxes. And I was doing that as well, and it's very physically demanding, but you're not working on your business while you're doing that. You're taking time away from that to focus on something completely different. So I think the biggest thing for me, and I know it can be very difficult, but if you're able to get a job in the business that you're looking to create, that will allow you to expedite the process faster, so that you don't have to go to work and do something completely different and come back to my business and do something completely different. You're able to live in harmony, and you're able to do the same thing every day. And that's what I am able to do now, is to, when I go to work, I'm working on my business in a way, and when I work on my business, I'm working on things for my job.
Right. And even while you're working, it's giving you knowledge and experience that you can use and put in your business. And I think that's brilliant that you talked about really focusing in on harmony. So even when you go to work, what is that job doing that's preparing you to continue to expand your vision?
Yes.
So I love that what you do at work also ties into your business, so everything just flows in sync. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Wow, congrats on that. So now I want you to talk a little bit about how you're able to maintain like self-care, mental health, because even though you are moving in harmony, it's still a lot of work. Yes. Okay, we cannot underestimate how much time and dedication, blood, sweat, and tears an entrepreneur puts into their business. It's no joke. People have no idea. So I want you to talk about how you're able to maintain your peace of mind while working a 9-to-5, running a business. You have a team of your own. How do you do it?
Yes, it can be very stressful having to do all those things, and that's why you just always have to make sure that you are okay with yourself, and you have to check in on yourself, and that's something that I wasn't really doing before.
Yeah.
So what I started doing recently, because I'll get up at 5:30 every day, and I'll usually go and work out, but before I work out, I will start to go to a quiet place in my house, and then I will sit down and I will just meditate for a couple of minutes, and I really just get my mind clear because, as you know, we're always being bombarded with information. We get up and we look at our phone, we got emails and we got social media to check, and we got messages to respond to. We got all these little notifications, and then you go on your computer, then you got emails for work, and you got all this information that's always bombarding you. So if you're able to take some time when you wake up initially, and that's also why I like to wake up too, is because when I wake up early and it's dark and it's quiet, I can really hear my thoughts, and I can really hear my subconscious and my higher thinking from myself. So I think the biggest thing for me is to, like you said, make sure that you're checking in on yourself, making sure that you're okay. And a lot of times you have to have those quiet conversations with yourself to make sure that you're still doing okay. Hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I mentally well? Is that thing that happened to me before, is it still impacting me? And why is it impacting me? And that's something that I truly believe in. That's why I started to do the meditation, because it really helped me really hear myself. Because a lot of times we think that we're in tune with ourselves, but we really just got so many other things in our mind. There's a million things going on at one time. And if you can just quiet all of that noise and just completely focus on yourself and focus on your mental, it can really help you out in the long run.
Good. I love that you talked about really finding quiet time, because that's something that I talked about in another episode with Tanya. Actually, Tanya, we had an episode where we talked about, having that self-care and also being grounded in your faith, because like you said, you have moments where you take the time in the morning to meditate. That quiet time is so important because there's so many different sources of information crowding us throughout the day. We talk to so many different people, we interact with our family, we have personal relationships, a lot of us may be dating, and it's like there's so much that takes your attention. You can barely, have time to feed your own spirit unless you're intentional about having that quiet time. So I love that you said you get up early in the morning, no excuses, because some people say, hey, when it's time to go to work, I'm gone, I don't have time, I'm rushing out the door. By the time I get home, I just want to unwind, I have time to cook and get ready for the next day. But we have to be intentional about having time for ourselves to say, where am I at? How am I really feeling? Where is my emotional, mental health, my spiritual health right now? So I want to talk quickly before we move on to the next subject, just about how even your faith and your beliefs are able to keep you grounded, because I know for me that's huge. That's how I maintain my peace, is knowing like, okay, there is someone higher than myself. I'm not just leaning on my own understanding for everything. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, faith for me is very big in my life. I pray all the time, and I think one of the biggest things that I do every night is, before I go to sleep, I obviously pray, but then I'll ask God, how else better can I serve you? What else can I be doing to become the best person so I can provide the most value to the world and make the world a better place in the small impact that I have? How can I do that? So I think that faith is really important, because a lot of times for me, there was moments where I didn't know how I was going to get through a certain situation. Like when I lost my scholarship, I was on academic probation, and I've got this super duper hard major, because I was computer science at the time. So I was taking a lot of coding classes. So it was a matter of, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to graduate? How am I going to get in to this fraternity? How am I going to maintain this fraternity now that I've been handed the keys? How am I going to start this business and make money? How am I going to graduate and actually learn how to be an adult and pay bills? How am I going to turn my business profitable? How am I going to move across the country to this new area that I've never been at? And because I prayed, I always had God on my side, I feel like, and he was able to open up a lot of doors for me that I wouldn't have thought were possible. There's a lot of moments where I thought I was stuck and that was just going to be it, but he gave me another chance, and that's why I was able to get here, because of that. So that's something that's huge for me, is the faith.
Yeah, faith is huge. I love that. I feel like you have to be faith-filled in order to have a business. Like, something in you has to say, you know what, I can do it. And you have to believe before you see it. Like, I don't think you can be an entrepreneur without having some sort of faith that it's possible, So I love that you tied that in. Now I want to switch it up a little bit and get into a juicier question, because some of our viewers may be wondering, are you dating? And if so, how are you able to manage dating with doing all that you do? Because you're very involved in business and, extracurricular. So how do you do it?
Yeah, so for me, I have a girlfriend, and
shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to her. But for me, it can be very challenging, because, we spend so much time working on our passion, in our second, projects, and having a partner, sometimes when you're on your business, it's not like you're cheating, but in a way you're taking time away to focus on this other thing. And to them it could seem as if, you know, you're always working on this, you never have any time for me, and that can be very challenging. But fortunately for me, my girlfriend, she's very understanding, and she's also focused on her dreams and her aspirations as well. And I think that's really key, because if I had somebody that wasn't focused on themselves and didn't have anything else really major going on, and all they did was have time to worry about what I was doing, it could be very difficult. But because she has her own thing going on, we understand each other, and we're able to, you know, kind of pick each other up when we're down, and really, you know, also encourage each other as well. You know, when she's having a down moment, I'm able to say, you know, hey, I know what you're going through. You know, here's some things that I did to get back on track. Or when I'm having a down moment, she understands and lets me know that you might not have done enough. You need to do a little bit more. So I think it's very important that if you're going to be dating, you have to have somebody that understands your goals and dreams. And I think it's also a communication thing too. You have to communicate, you know, I love you, but I have this opportunity and this obligation that I have, and I need to focus and put the vast majority of my time on that, and it's up to them to really understand that. But then you also have to make sure that you're still watering that relationship as well, because it can be so easy for you to go be at your business all day, then come back sleep, then go be at your business all day, then after a while your other person's like, hey, did you forget that you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or, you know, significant other? So I think it's very important to continue to water that relationship, and also have an understanding with them that this is what I'm going to be doing, and you know, you have the ability to do whatever you want in that, but if you're going to be here and be with me, then I need you to understand that this is what I'm going to be doing. And it's up to them to, you know, they can understand that, or they can decide, okay, this is not for me, I want to do something else. But I think keeping that line of communication open and making it very transparent.
That's huge. No, I like how you said that you really tied in transparency and just being upfront in your relationship, because I feel like a lot of young people, you know, we get into the dating world and we just want to have a good time and discover people, but we don't realize how the connections that we are sometimes making are wasting our time, or they're drawing us away from our main focus. And so it's really important to actually go into it purposefully, you know, having intention about, okay, what are we doing to add to each other? What are we both bringing to the table? How can I help you get to your goals, and vice versa? And so I have learned through experience, not making the best choices in the past. Now with experience, understanding, hey, I have to go into it knowing that I'm vision focused and purpose focused first. So anybody that I date, we need to be able to be on the same page. It's important. Otherwise, there's not going to be longevity in it. You're not going to be able to sustain it, because if you have one person who's super focused on their vision and their dreams, and the other one just wants to have a good time, like there's no way you can sustain that. Like logically, it's not going to flow, because you have to go into it knowing we both are coming into this purposefully, you know? So I love that you all are doing that, and shout out to both of you again for representing. That's awesome. That's awesome. So while we're at it, I want you to talk to us a little bit about just some things that have been on your heart lately that you may want to share, just to encourage someone who's saying, you know what, I'm not as far as I want to be in business right now. I'm feeling like giving up. Maybe they want to quit because they haven't made the money they thought. Because a lot of times when entrepreneurs start a business, they expect to make 6 figures in like 6 months, but it doesn't always work like that. So how do you advise someone who's feeling like it's just not working for them?
Yes. As far as, you know, that type of situation, because I was in that for a minute, you know, you're spending so many hours on your business and then you're not making any money, you're not getting any clients, you're not getting any meetings, you're not getting any new customers.
That's real.
And I know it's the very cliche thing to say, but when it's in those moments that's really going to test your character and see are you really dedicated to this.
That's good.
Because I had another business before I started this SWC. I was reselling iPhones.
Okay.
So I would buy phones from people, and then I would sell them at a higher price, and that business ended up floundering because I wasn't as passionate about it. And when things got difficult and I was buying the phones and I was selling them and I was losing money, it was difficult. So when you're not making money in your business, it's going to be a testament to how much do you love it, because even when I wasn't making money, I still loved the process of creating content and focusing on my brand and really building up that part. It was giving me so much fulfillment, and having the self-development, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurship, it is self-development.
Oh, yeah.
Is how can I become the best person in order to satisfy the needs of other people.
Wow.
And through that process, I found a lot of fulfillment. I found a lot of purpose and passion. And even when I wasn't making money, it made it easy to keep going. So for that person that is struggling and you're not making money right away, if you're finding fulfillment and passion in what you're doing, then you will be able to continue. And then at some point when you do make that money, then it's going to be easy because you already were doing that and you already had that focus before you made money. So once you actually start to make money, it's very easy to continue and go. So I'll say for them, make sure that you're doing what you really love to do. And then eventually if you really work at it and network and meet the right people and surround yourself with the right people, because that's something else that we don't really talk about enough, is that it's hard to start a business and really focus on being the best person when you're hanging around with people that don't have the same vision for themselves. A lot of people are, like you said, they're okay with just having a good time and being in the club every weekend. And, you know, it takes a lot to kind of separate yourself from those people, especially when those are your homeboys, those are your friends. But when you really have a vision, you really have something that you're going after, you have to sacrifice everything for that.
Wow, that's beautifully said. And I have to agree with you about just learning how to build high value relationships, because that's something that I really was bad at until like maybe the past year. I've learned that, hey, I can't do this on my own. Like, I don't need to think that I can bring all these visions to life by myself. There are other people with way more experience than me, and they're there for a reason. So I had to get out of my shell a little bit. And as someone who's more of a homebody and a little introverted, you know, I had to realize, you know what? No, like, there are other people out there who are able to help, and we all need each other in some way. So networking is huge, and getting yourself around high value people. And so now that I'm doing the networking events, shout out to Black Achievers, I'm able to meet people from all over the US who are high value people. And when you surround yourself with like-minded people, you're able to get a lot more done. You cannot underestimate the value of healthy relationships, valuable people being in your circle. So I love that you brought that up. Now, before we wrap it up, I want you to give some advice to someone who may say, I don't really know where to find the right people. Everybody around me, they're not focused. You know, where do I start to find these people?
Yes. So for me, I was having that trouble too, because, you know, when you're in college and that's all you're around 18 to 23-year-olds. It's hard to find people that are on their purpose, because everybody is either partying or they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or everybody's just really young too. That's another thing as well, is that people, some people just need more time to really develop themselves, and we judge ourselves very early. So for me to be around people that were more so going towards the path that I was looking for, honestly, I just Googled networking events near me, and then I just started going to so many networking events that would be in my area, and a lot of them would be free, and you're able to meet a lot of entrepreneurs that are already successful. You were able to meet professionals that are already in their field, that are already well established, and you're able to go and talk to them. And for me, I found the same satisfaction as that out of when I used to go to parties, because a lot of these events you can go and then you can get food, you can learn about things, you can, sometimes they'll have alcohol there, so if you like that. But for me, I found satisfaction out of that, because, you know, it's a Wednesday night. Instead of me going to the bar, I would go to a networking event, I would shake some hands, pass out business cards, get some numbers, make some calls, and then really start to build those relationships. So I would just start going to networking events in your local area, because every city has a networking event, so there's no excuse for that. You can go to a networking event, and then it's also uncomfortable too, because especially when you're younger, a lot of the people there, they're not going to be in your age range, because most people, they're going to be going to the bar, or they're going to be going to the club on a Friday. Whereas for me, I was going to these networking events and I'm meeting people, okay, they're in their late 40s, early 50s, even in their 60s. But these are the type of people that can really progress you a lot faster than hanging out with your friends at a bar or going to the club. So I think going to networking events is huge, and that's something that I would recommend to meet more like-minded people. Go to a networking event that's in your industry or in your area of interest, and meet those people, and be comfortable enough to go up there and shake their hands, and you know, networking with them. And I know networking is a skill that a lot of people may not have, especially with this new digital age, and people are a lot more, like you said, introverted and not willing to go out the house. But it's the ability to go and give a genuine handshake, have a face-to-face conversation that will leave a lasting impact on somebody. And when you're able to do that consistently over the long haul, you're going to meet a lot of different people that are going to be willing to help you.
Wow. I couldn't have said it better. I couldn't have said it better. So before we close out, I want you to just give us a few of your recommendations. So book recommendations, any YouTubers, podcasts, for somebody who is interested in becoming an entrepreneur, or maybe they just want to be more successful in general. What are some recommendations?
So for the number one podcast I would recommend listening to is called Valuetainment. You can find it on YouTube or on iTunes or podcasts. Okay. So Valuetainment, it's run by this guy named Patrick Bet-David. He's a very successful entrepreneur in the insurance industry. And he talks a lot about the values and principles of being an entrepreneur and structuring business in the right way. And that was somebody that I really listened to, and that's how I developed a lot of the mindsets and the mentality and created the paradigm shift for myself. So that's a podcast I would recommend. As far as books, I would say read the Relentless by Tim Grover. That's something recently that I just read.
Okay.
I also like Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by 50 Cent.
Okay.
So that was a really good book as well. And then The Go-Giver, that was a book I read last year that was huge in terms of my mentality because it taught me to not think as selfishly and be more focused on, okay, how can I provide people with value first and thinking about how can I give first. And then eventually it will come back to me in some way, shape, or form. But first going out and giving value and asking people, especially people that are more successful than you, when you're having these meetings with them, a lot of these people, they're always used to people asking them for things. So if you can go out and ask, how can I be of service to you?
I love that.
Then they'll be more willing to help you and come back to you. So those are some books I would recommend reading.
Yeah, thank you for those recommendations. They sound really good, honestly. I'm going to check them out after this episode. And another thing that I love that you said was figuring out how you can serve and be a better servant, because the idea of being a servant sounds so cliche, right? It's like, oh my gosh, like serving someone, like I can barely take care of myself. I don't have time to be, but when you have the mindset of being a servant, so I've recently learned this is something that I need to do, is be a better student to life. Be a better student to people who are more successful than me, because they have something to pour into me that's going to take me to the next level. I obviously don't have it yet because I'm not there. So I need to learn how to be a student and then also learn how to be a servant. How can I add to you so I'm not just pulling? What can I do to make your life easier? And so I feel that you're able to build more favorable relationships where people actually look out for you when you look out for them. When you learn how to be a better servant, what can I do to help your life? How can we help each other? Yeah.
And that's huge in business because I think a lot of people, they get the concept of being a business owner and being an entrepreneur. They get it kind of backwards. They think, oh, I'm going to be on Instagram, I'm going to be flexing money and being on yachts, and I'm going to be selling out all the time, getting all this money. But the way that you were able to get to that point is you're providing a lot of value and service to other people. In exchange for that value and that service, they're willing to compensate you monetarily. So that's something huge that you can't go into. If you're going to go into this land, you can't go into it being selfish because nobody is going to give you anything for being selfish. But if you're willing to give yourself to people, then they'll be more willing to reward you with that.
Beautiful. Awesome. So where can the people find you, especially those who want to reach out and get connected for business, but also social media? Where can they find you?
I will be at Siraaj Woods on everything, SIRAAJ Woods, WOODS. And then they can get in contact with us at SWCreatives, so www.swcreatives.com. And you can also follow us on SWCreatives, follow the company pages, and that's where they can find us.
Very nice. Thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure interviewing you today. This has been an awesome episode, and I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you all next time.
Yes.
Bye-bye.